Hello, everyone, and welcome to Brown Bag Lunch with me, Laura Collins, the athlete psychotherapist. As always, thank you so much for spending your lunchtime with me, whether you're here live or you're watching later on YouTube. We just absolutely appreciate you being here. Please, at any given time, do not be shy to put any questions or comments. We'd like to keep this conversation going long after the conversation is over today. With me in the kitchen, I have my dear friend, Katie Kovach. Katie, thank you so much for being here. Katie is a kick ass athlete, mental health licensed therapist, and athlete trainer. And she's a former athlete. We were going to be talking about failure today, and it's big time. I always have the most amazing conversations with you, Katie. Thank you for being here today.
I'm curious, are we going to keep it on time? We never keep it on time, but we will.
We're going to do our best. I
Yeah.
have the alarm set for us today. So let's get into it because it does go very quickly. And I know there's going to be tons of wisdom nuggets dropped today. So don't even going to mess around. Failure, showing up after knockdown. Let's talk about it, Katie. This is our piece de resistance. You talk about this a lot. Tell us about it.
For me, I think one of my pet projects has always been changing the stigma of failing and failure. I know I gave a talk at one point to a college group and I showed it to my mom, and the title of it was Embracing Disappoint Everyone, and maybe not, The Art of Disappointing Everyone and Embracing It. There we go. My life story of being a failure. And my mom was so angry about it. And it wasn't so angry, but it was like, why do you keep calling yourself a failure? And I think that's something that we all forget a lot is we fail way more than we succeed. And I think we learn way more in failing than we do succeeding. There's a provider that I follow and I love his acronym for fail. It's probably used in other places, but my retention brain doesn't hold on to all that because I'm also very neurodivergent, FYI.
With you.
But his acronym is first attempt or further attempts in learning. And I just changed my thought process about it. Like, I now love it. I've learned so much more from it if I didn't hold that negative connotation with it.
When did you go from seeing it as a negative connotation to something that is about resilience and something positive?
Realistically, when I graduated college after attending the third college to get my bachelor's degree, and I say that because I basically failed out of my first school and I was recruited to play lacrosse there and all that jazz, and it just didn't work. And I went to community college, and truthfully, it was the best experience of my life. I loved playing lacrosse at junior college. That experience also helped me feel more confident in school. And then again, just diving headfirst, I applied to a school in North Carolina, applied in October, got in November, flew down in December, signed a lease, and started classes in January.
Wow.
And like all that, yeah, it's a very short time. I make very quick decisions. You can't tell. And like, you look back on it now, and it was like, that was the best failing that I think I've done. And I think it's always, I know I used to tell my mom on this, I'd be like, what's wrong with hanging a nail up and making a hole in the wall? Okay, I messed up.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, it's a good thing we have plaster filler, what I can't remember the word for it, but the filler, I can just fill it, sand it down, and take a paintbrush over it. It's okay. And the other thing is I've fallen and I've had weird shit all the time, weird stuff all the time. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse or not. And like when people ask me what's your favorite part of you, and I always say my scars because they have this story, and then the story gets better after it heals.
Now, I'm hearing your story. First of all, thank you so much for sharing. I'm hearing that you are noticing what you need and you're responding, and maybe probably through trial and error quite a bit. And you're saying that your mom will say, "Why do you say that?" Or she has a little bit of a different viewpoint, but always supportive of you. So tell me about that. When we're trying to navigate this idea of failure, I think this is new too. I just think about failure for myself and how much my journey with failure built resilience. And I can get through a lot of shit myself. We can all get through really hard shit because we failed and we understand what that means. It creates a sense of camaraderie and, yes, of course, resilience, but also empathy. We can understand each other because we've gone through tough times.
But I
But
think
that resistance, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
That
I cut you
yeah,
off.
that
We
no,
also
that resistance that we are met, whether by our parents or people around, like, tell me about having to navigate your feelings and trying to process your needs and responding and the messaging that you're getting from others.
I also wanna note my mom is super grateful, super helpful, does really not hold any in case she's listening, I just wanna make sure that I point it out. Mom is a great mom, love her. She's now changed her mindset too, and where she's
Mhm.
like, "I love the fact that you try new things and get knocked down." But I think it's also something that we don't talk about often.
No.
We don't talk about how all this shit we go through because I think we've been told, don't talk about it." And my big thing is like, why not? What I appreciate about the talk I gave, it was at a junior college, and me being able to relate to, like, I got to junior college however I got there, and honestly, it was the best thing. And, like, them hopefully getting to hear that too of like, okay, so, like, I don't have to feel bad or whatever they might feel about this. But I also think it's normalizing it. Like, I normalize that I suck at a lot of things. Like, my poor husband too. Like, I swear when we first started dating, he would travel for work and he had to take the power tool batteries and put them someplace else. Because 'Cause he'd come home and be like, "What is up on our wall now?" And I was like, "Oh, I hung this shelf." And he goes, "It is so crooked." I was like, "Cool. At least we can put, like, some plaster up and it's fine." And then you can teach me how to use a level. Still don't know what it is.
So cute.
But you know what I mean? Like, talk about it because someone else
Mhm.
is gonna have that experience and someone else then can lean on you. I know in one of my in my like, in my practice, I think one thing I lean on a lot is, like, I self-disclose when I feel like it's needed, and I think a lot of my clients appreciate that because they don't feel alone in that struggle. It's okay, and then they normalize, like, it's okay to feel this. It's okay to have, sucked at it. Like, I have clients that are planning weddings right now, and I was like, "Bro, that was the worst time of my life." And they're like, "Okay, great. So this isn't abnormal to feel." I was like, "No. This, like, joyous occasion sucks."
Yeah. Yeah,
And, like,
definitely.
again, talk about it. It doesn't always have to be rainbows and unicorns.
Mm.
You can have that dark period, but it's also like, I don't feel like we say, like, "Hey, I'm having a really hard day," enough, because I think it's the other thing, the people that you tell that to wanna fix it, and they're uncomfortable when you say that.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, I
good
talked about
point.
it with a client last night, I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Self-reflect." I was like, "I'm sorry, like, you're telling me about this, and I'm trying to fix it, and I'm not sitting here with you through it because, like, I want you to succeed, and I'm putting that onto you." And, like, we had to sit back, and I had to relearn my role and what that client needed, and sometimes that's really hard to do too. But again, that, like, uncomfortable when you hear someone is struggling and they wanna fix it.
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me of a conversation I had recently with a dad who's in, for lack of a better word, like the ibuprofen league kind of thing. And he was sharing that when he gets on the court, if he's in practice, he does really well. And then he gets to the game and he doesn't do so well, particularly if there's a particular person who's playing who he adores. But for some reason, it just stirs stuff up. And this person's already in therapy. And this is a person that I just know. And I said something like, "What comes up for you?" Therapist, as we do. And he's, "I don't know, just thinking about like my parent and just some memories." And I said, "That makes sense." I said, "Not for nothing, but these kinds of things where we get up there and we notice that we're not playing as well, we're not doing as well. And it's, especially if it's tied in and connected with something that is emotional, maybe that's the only way to be able to express it. Sports, arts, dance, music, all these things are ways to express. So maybe this is the only way that you can express it carefully and specifically."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Whoa," his brain was like, "Whoa." I'm like, "Ah, take that to therapy. That would be great to explore now
Yeah.
that you have it, because that's our way to express." So, to your point, to be able to express it, to be able to share it and have a communal response, of a caring response, like it just touches into humanity.
But I also think if you think about it as athletes, we watch, and I say this as we because somehow I end up I rewatch games for my favorite teams and whatnot. Do we praise enough while we're rewatching film? We watch film to know where we fail and get better. How often do we praise a person for failing? Hey, that's really good because watch this next play. You got it. It clicked in your head. There was a coach that I adore so much, and one of his talks that he gave to parents one time and kids was like, don't show me how you can score a goal behind the back. The chance of that happen again, not going to happen probably when you're on my team. Don't show me all the saves that you made. What I want to see is what happens when you miss the shot. I want to see what happens when the goal goes in. He's like, I want to see, and this is probably one of the things you want me to touch on. I can't remember. I want to see how you pivot. Like, how do you respond to it? Because that's more important to me as a player and as a human than you making a crazy shot.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did that person respond to that?
Well, it was just to a large audience. There was no one-on-one talking. But I've been to camps that this coach has given. I've been to a lot of things, and ever listen to them talk. The first thing is, I want to create a good human. I want you to learn the fundamentals of life and on the field and learn them well before you go. We would work a 3-day camp or whatever, and the kids wouldn't play until the last day when the parents came for pickup. Everything was about fundamentals and everything about doing the basics. So, like, that's why I love this coach. But remembering that, like, go back to the fundamentals. And you were, like, at one point, non-athletic related, at one point you were a kid who was falling down on their face and, like, how to put one foot in front of the other. Like, that's what you just need to do. And to me, that's one of the things I preach to my clients all the time is, you've been knocked down more than you realize. Remember how to put that one foot up, like, out again.
Yeah. That is so true. Last brown bag lunch, I had my friend Nassim who talked about pause and play. And this is reminding me about when we're kids. Granted, when we got knocked down, we could get back up a lot
Yeah.
easier without losing our breath as we do when we're adults.
That
Right. Yeah.
joint.
Everything hurts and
Yeah.
everything falls apart. But to your point, you fall down a lot, skin your knee. I mean, all of us have skin knees. Why? Because we all were learning how to be on skateboards or
Yeah.
rollerblades or something. We all fell down and we all got back up. So that's a really good point, that to tie it into joy and play and fun, being with our loved ones, enjoying time together. And I think it's just, especially as high performers, and we get so caught up in our head about what needs to be done. And we do that too.
Yeah.
But you're going back down not only to the fundamentals about our technique in our sport, but also just from a mental and emotional standpoint, the fundamentals of our heart and our mind.
My poor brother then must be struggling because when he was learning how to walk, my parents would tell me all the time how you just knocked him over. I was like, so no wonder he doesn't want to do the fundamentals. Like, I'm just gonna be the butthead that just knocks him over. He's probably how to learn how to run quicker. But anyway, and I think that's because, like, I had to self-reflect on that the other day because someone was like, you're just a perfectionist and you want things done your way. And I was like, but that's not the case. I hear why you would think that, but, like, I just want to see movement. You're like, I want to get this done. I want to get this done. I don't really care how you get it done. To me, what's important is, are you putting one foot in front of the other?
Yeah, so true. And I think we forget, like, the days are long, but the years are short. We just need to do one foot in front of the other. And before you know it, we have an accumulated mountain of change. It's just hard to do when it's not the way that we want it right now, right at this moment.
There's no way your place or my place looks like it did when you first moved into it, but
Oh, no,
changed
100%. Yeah.
you changed your habitat even every day to make it where it is now. And it's still not going to be perfect as I'm sitting here and we just moved. But, like, to your point too about change and adapting and how I forgot what you said, years go by quickly, but months not so fast. Like,
Yeah.
I know I've talked to you about this, but, like, my husband and I decided in May that we were going to come back to the East Coast, and we just did it. And, like, we didn't have jobs lined up. We didn't have anything, but we sold our house, were able to buy another one, and just packed our car up and drove for 3 weeks, visiting all these things that, like, so many people are like, I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to do that one day. And we just took advantage of the moment. And now we just realized it was like 6 months ago that we landed.
Wow. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow. Wild. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's reflect because here we are. And I have to change this mindset all the time of like, we paint these blocks on our wall of what color paint do we want? And in my head right now, I'm like, I just want this done. I just want to go back to what our house used to look like. But I have to remember this is the process we did for everything. And that house took 5 years to make the way that we like
Wow.
it.
Wow. Yeah.
But again, this is something that pops up in life, and my husband and I are two competitive people. So that's a whole nother issue living in a house like that. But yeah, just okay, the first step is just putting the paint on the wall, deciding what paint colors to try and what color paint wall. What
Yeah.
color do we want then?
Yeah.
And I've lived like that for 6 months. So fingers crossed it gets done this summer because it's driving me nuts. Um, but yeah, again, as athletes, one of the first things I ask athletes all the time is, especially injured ones with my background, is like, what did you love about your sport?
Exactly. Yep.
I normally love athletes, especially with sports that I don't know, talking to me about their sports because you can see when they're talking what they loved about it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. We have just a couple minutes left, and I do want to give a shout out to Cressida Brilliant, who's with us right now. Let's see. So Cressida says, we've all fallen down and gotten back up. Wow, 100%. And so many times athletes forget that they have fallen before and gotten back up. That is so true. It's so easy to get caught up in the moment and forget that's a moment in time, to your point. And now before you know it, 6 months has gone by.
But I think it's also important to point out with athletes that have fallen and now when they transition to their next chapter. Yeah, I remember having this conversation with my husband, and he was like, I'm a terrible manager. Pause. Let me rephrase that. He was a goalie in college, already has one too many screws loose playing lacrosse goalie. And I love him. I'm showing this later. But he was like, I don't know how to manage people. I suck. And I was like, bro, you did this already. You don't
Mhm.
suck. You're learning a new technique. You're learning a new field, but you've already known how to do this. And being able to change that mindset of it's trial and error. And mind you, he worked in innovation. I was like, bro, how do you not even still have that mindset? Love him dearly. But again, we've fallen so many times, and for some reason, we forget that and just expect to be good all the
Yeah.
time and be on all the time, which is exhausting.
That is the weight of always trying to achieve excellence, and that's what we all do. That's why we're all here. Katie, we can keep talking about
I
this.
know.
You and I can keep talking, and we're going
Yeah.
to keep talking. Everyone, thank you so much. Thank you, Cressida, for being here. Thank you for your comment. Please feel free to reach out to Katie if you'd like to work with Katie. If you have any questions for Katie, reach out to her at fearandforward.com, also on LinkedIn. Also, if you'd like to work with me or you have any questions, comments, DMs, you can reach out to me too on lcollinslcsw.com. Absolutely here for you all. So if failure is something that you are coming up upon and you're just really needing support, please know that you are not alone. You've got Katie, you've got me, we've got people around. Lean into community. As Katie, you just shared that when your husband made that comment, you were there as his community, as his support to remind him that to get to excellence is that we have to fail and we have to fail a lot, right? It's like what the quote, which is like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and you're going to miss a lot of shots along the way.
Yeah.
So, Katie, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate and love you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Um, and everyone, I'll see you in a couple more weeks. My guest is going to be the effervescent, oh my God, I'm having a brain pause. Shelby Remillard. Thank you. Thank you very much. Former swimmer, a fantastic therapist. I'm so excited to share time with her here. Everyone, thank you for being here and appreciate you all. See you in a couple weeks.